So shall we start now? All right, we're going to start now the session. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I welcome all of you today's iVarsity's webinar on higher education in United Kingdom. We appreciate everyone taking their time to be here. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Manas Bora, co-founder of iVarsity, and I'm an alumnus of University of Warwick and Nottingham Business School. iVarsity is a UK-based overseas education consulting company that helps students to find a perfect match for their career needs and aspiration. We assist in counseling, application process, visa applications, profile building, fund and loan and scholarships too. And we help also pre and post departure services. We have an office in London as well as in Guwahati in Assam, which is in India. Now I'll go through a few quick housekeeping items and introduce our speakers. Please note during the session, all attendees will be kept mute during the webinar. As when you have any question, please lever us to use the chat box. We will answer your questions after every sessions, but maybe due to time constraint, we won't able to answer all of your questions. So we'll email you or we post those things in our social media page. Okay. Also, I want to let you know that this session will be recorded and will be shared with you guys later. In today's session, we met special guest faculties from prestigious University of Leeds, University of London and IIT Guwahati, and who was a former lecturer from Nottingham, in the University of Nottingham. They will talk about their personal experience and as well as various topics related to higher education in the United Kingdom and the job prospect and career development regarding international students. Now, I want to welcome our first guest for today's session, Dr. Neera Borkakuti, and she's a visiting scientist of European Bioinformatics Institute in Cambridge in UK and former visiting faculty at University of London. Welcome, Dr. Borkakuti.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. So now it's over to you. So if you can.
Sure.
Start. Yeah, thank you.
Right. I first start by sharing my screen and hoping for the best. Here we are. Can you see my screen?
It's coming up. Yeah, it's come. Yeah.
And make it full screen for you.
All right.
Is that better? Can you see it better?
Yeah, I can see very clearly.
Okay. Well, let me start. Thank you for your introduction, Manos.
Yeah.
I am Neera Borkakuti. I have been here for almost half a century, hence these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decades. Right. What I want to do is, at the request of iVarsity, is to tell you a little bit about what I have done as a scientist in the UK and what science as a profession has taught me. And I hope to impart some of my experience and some messages to you, which will help you go on a similar journey, not necessarily in science, but a journey of a profession in academia in the UK. My journey in science as a profession has been a journey of investigation. When I first arrived in this country in the early 1970s as a young bride, I had an MSc degree from the physics department of the University of Guwahati. And when I wanted to pursue further studies here, it became very apparent very quickly that I needed to specialize in a subject, because the courses we were being taught in Guwahati at that time were so behind times compared to the courses that were sorted in the UK, that in order to grasp what was going on, I needed to take a course in a specialized subject of my interest. Therefore, what I did was I registered for a second MSc in the specialized subject of crystallography. And this is a sub-branch of my main subject, which is physics. I have to do a part-time master's course because the fees were very high for a young couple that we were. We didn't have the money to get the fees, so full-time fees. So I did a part-time master's course for which one needed to have a full-time daytime job. And I was lucky enough to have a research assistant job in a lab for 2 years. I did this master's course and I achieved my master's certificate. This was all done in the University of London in Birkbeck College. So the transit from Guwahati University to Birkbeck College, first degree took me 2 years. The Birkbeck College then very kindly offered me a scholarship for my PhD studies, which took me 3 years. And then the European Research Council offered me a scholarship to do a postdoc in the same department for 3 years. This was the foundation of my work in science. It provided me a very good basis for what I did later on. Your course, of course, your path will not be the same because the rules now have changed about what students can do on entering the UK. The details are available in the iVarsity brochure, and you get a lot more detail there, or you can contact the people and they will help you. Essentially, what it says is that for graduate or undergraduate students, the post-study work will allow you to work in the UK or look for work in the UK for a maximum period of 2 years if you do an undergraduate or master's degree, or you can stay and work in the UK for 3 years if you do a PhD in the UK. And as you see, the iVarsity has a lot of contacts with other universities, some of whom you might like to contact. Details of these will be available to you should you want to know more. Going on from where I was there, I would like to share with you the lessons I had from my first course that I did at Birkbeck for the first 15 or so years. This is what I learned. I hope you can take some messages from here. First of all, the lecturers not only teach the course, they set the papers and mark them. This is quite unlike what I was used to in Guwahati University, where the lecturers just lectured, exams were set by other people and marks were given by still a third lot of people. So this is universally true in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. Then the external assessments are there to monitor that there is no bias between the lecturers and the students. So external contacts are there. The emphasis of the education is on the knowledge and understanding. And exams are only an assessment of the ability of what you have understood. In other words, exams only assess the ability of applying the fundamental principles that you have learned to solve problems. Also, I found that the lecturers were very approachable and they encourage interactions, and the lecturers are very informal, and most education is done through tutorials and seminars, and students are encouraged to give seminars so that they are used to public speaking. The result of all this is that I emerged from Birkbeck University of London with a master's degree and a PhD, and several certificates on specialized subjects, which I was free to attend. It also gave me a lot of experience on conference presentation and public speaking, which was invaluable in later life when you have to stand for interviews or give talks to other people. Also, it gave me a lot of experience with teaching and lab management. The second phase of my journey, when I left Birkbeck College, because I thought that it would help my career if I had some industrial experience outside of academia in Birkbeck, my first foray into this was to join a Swiss firm as a research scientist. It was the firm is called Hoffman Roche, or Roche as it was called in the UK. And I worked in the Roche Discovery Welwyn site, which was a local site in the UK. As a research scientist, I enjoyed the research there very much. But because of constraints of financial reasons, Roche Discovery Welwyn was shut down. And I then had to look for another job. And I then became a research scientist for another pharmaceutical firm called Medivir, which is a Swedish firm. And this time they were based in Cambridge. And this is where I worked till about 5 years ago as a research scientist. The experience there allowed me to learn the processes and methods followed in the pharmaceutical industry and gave me an involvement in the drug discovery pipeline, how medicines are made, why they are made, how they are sold. And it opened an entirely new page in my career and exposed me to cutting edge science in an international stage. It was very rewarding. It had regular challenges, and the global scientific collaborations and travel made it really worthwhile for me. And I must say, I really enjoyed my time in the pharmaceutical industry. The lessons that I learned from there, which I hope you can share and take messages from here, is that in the pharmaceutical industry or in any industry in general, teamwork is critical for success. Your team is what makes it. And the other thing is deadlines don't move. If a deadline is given, you have to stick to it. You have to deliver in time. There's much less competition for funds in the pharmaceutical industry because you're only competing within the group in your firm and not with the entire academia and the whole of the United Kingdom. So clearly, if you want something, it's easier to get that. And when I mean you want something, I would mean things like computers or some instruments or stuff like that. The other thing about industry, different from academia, I find, is that projects change very frequently. There are many, many restarts, so it's best not to get too attached to any project or have a favorite subject, because things change very, very quickly. The other thing you learn is that you and your job can be swiftly made surplus to requirements. In other words, you have to do your job properly, but that doesn't mean that the job is very secure. It can be shut, it can be stopped. And also the main mantra of that is that success is not stimulating science, success is really what sells. So basically your projects will be dictated by what is acceptable in the market. So these lessons I carry with me. My recommendations from all this, which is now about 30 years in the UK, 30 years of experience in science in the UK, is for you to choose to do what interests you and not what is available or what pays well, because you'll be spending a lot of time doing this. So you better enjoy it. And in order to enjoy it, you have to do something that interests you. Secondly, research your targets and apply to places with specific details. In other words, if you're applying to a department, do some research on the department and tell them why you would like to join them and tell them what your interests are. Don't just put in a blank application, a general generic application. That doesn't cut much ice. Then, of course, being geographically mobile is very beneficial. This is something I lacked in my life, being a married individual and by this time having 2 children. But being geographically mobile opens up a lot of doors. Then use LinkedIn or other online courses or online networks to increase your visibility and know more. Attend conferences, webinar, and Zoom meetings like this one to find out more about people working in your area, more about your subject, and more about what's going on in the world even. Then contact people who have similar goals for getting new perspectives on what you want to do. And also contact local members of your ethnicity. Since you're coming from a different area than the UK, look at them for support and advice. They are there to help you, and they might have a lot of tips for you to help you out. in addition to what I was doing in my work and in academia, these are the extracurricular activities. I mean, the scientific extracurricular activities. I don't mean the social ones, of which there are a lot as well. The extracurricular activities that I was following. And I must add that this is one of the key features which actually helps you to move on in the scientific world. Links with academia. I've kept my links with academia since the first day I joined Birkbeck, in spite of working for industry for over 30 years. I have been an external PhD examiner in the University of Edinburgh, University of London, University of Zurich, visiting professor at London University and also in Slovenia. I've organized conference and meetings, attended and presented there. If you do this, you get to know people, you get to know of what is available, you get to know other areas that interest you. And this really expands your horizons and makes you a better person and makes you more suitable to work in different areas of the industry or in different areas of academia. Also, all of these things take time. So this you have to do in addition to your normal day's work. But I assure you, this is essential and proves very good for the rest of your career. Finally, what I'm doing at the moment is currently I'm a visiting scientist at the European Bioinformatics Institute. I have traveled from here in 1973 or thereabouts to here, which I'm now working mainly on databases, including COVID. Birkbeck no longer looks like this when I joined, it looks like this now. And these 50 years or so, or almost 50 years, have provided me a very interesting and checkered way in science. I've made a lot of friends, I enjoy science, I enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for listening to me. What I will do is I will leave you with the recommendations while I take questions, should you want to ask me any. Thank you.
And thank you very much taking time and share your whole experience and journey with us. Is amazing, actually. Whatever you have seen the pictures or whatever you have done all these years. And yeah, I think it should be an inspiration from people in Assam also, so where you are originated from.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have a few questions. Some of the questions were asked in our chat box.
Sure.
I think you kind of touched those things, but still, I'm asking this. One of the questions from Varun Singh is, what are the opportunity to work after graduation or post-graduation? Somebody finished their BSc or BA over here, or doing a master's, so that kind of thing. So
yeah, well, I mean, it very much depends on the subject of your choice, of course. In the scientific field, there are various opportunities, not only in academia, but in industry. I mean, by industry, I mean small or medium-sized industry. It very much depends on your subject. If you're in humanities, there are also other areas that you can work at. There are social services, you can work at, you can look for, government-related jobs or community-related jobs. It's very difficult to give a generic answer because it depends very much on your speciality and what you really want to do. But because the visa would allow you to work, if you're an undergraduate, work for 2 years, and if you're a postgraduate or if you're a PhD, to work for 3 years, I would suggest that you start looking at what you would like to do towards the end of your final year of studies. And you will find out a lot. Browse the internet, talk to people, all the things that I've told you before. Go to meetings, attend webinars, talk to your teachers. And there are plenty of opportunities for both commercial and academic.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So you think the bioscience or related to biology or what do you call this is very genetics or engineering? Those are very kind of the kind of things coming up to the market, like people are interested in, they can.
Yes, absolutely. And also, I mean, due to Brexit and due to certain changes in the UK, there's a lack of very specialized people, lack of skills. Even generic skills are very much looked for. So yes, I would say there will be plenty of opportunities for graduates and higher educated people. Yes.
All right. I have a very interesting question actually. This now is called Aminur Alam, and it's very interesting, but it's a little bit different from pro-study work or work related. But his question was, how difficult was the transition phases from Indian to UK, from Indian to UK-based universities? Like I think
this is what I touched on in my first slide.
Yeah.
Things might have changed by that. You would appreciate I've been here quite a long time.
Yeah,
but when I first came here, I hadn't actually seen a computer, and I was based in a department where the computers were literally on every desk. So essentially, you have to learn very quickly, or better still, you have to choose a subject and take a course to learn more details about that. From the time that I was there, I found that the courses that I was being taught was like 50 years behind, or 30 years or so behind time. Things probably are much better now, but I would suggest that you do take either a certificate course or a diploma course in a specialized subject, so that you come to speed with what is being taught in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think as Dr. Nira Barkavati has answered your question, but if you have any other more questions, you can always email us at info@iVarsity.com, or we can always call us. You have the numbers in our website, and one of our counselor will speak to you. So we'll go through those that's why we're there. That's why iVarsity is there, to give suggestions and give advice and help you. Thank you very much, Dr. Barkavati. So I think I'm going for the next session with the next speaker. That is Yen Woods. Yen is now is online. I can see him. So I just want to now I want to talk about Ian, he's our next guest from this session. Dr. Ian is a Pro-Dean International Faculty in Biological Science at University of Leeds. Welcome to our webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you. So it's over to you, Ian. So if you can, yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. I'll just share my screen. Mm-hmm. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope everybody can see that. It should be a picture of one of our halls at the University of Leeds.
Yeah, can see
yes. Do you want to make it full screen, Ian?
Yeah.
Is it not full screen?
No, is notes is coming, like, you understand what I mean. So you have to take it in a different screen. I think you're taking in a if you're using two screen, then sometimes it's happened. So
yes, I am using two screens.
Yeah, you have to make it in one screen. That's where it's sometimes it happens. Yeah, it's coming now. Yeah, it's good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Does that work?
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry about that. We don't actually use Zooms very much in Leeds. We tend to do our teaching through through Blackboard or through Microsoft Teams.
Oh yeah.
So apologies for that.
No worries.
Well, thank you for the invitation and welcome everybody. My name's Ian Wood. I thought I should just introduce a little bit about who I am and what my interests are, and what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this afternoon. So I'm the Pro-Dean International, and I work in the Faculty of Biological Sciences. Being the Pro Dean International means I'm responsible for our interactions with our faculty, with our international partners. Really, we're interested in their attracting international students, working with research collaborators internationally, and also teaching international students in their own country, as well as them coming to Leeds. I'm a research scientist. I have specific interests in neuroscience. I've studied neuroscience now for about 25 years. Particularly right now, my research is really focused on Alzheimer's disease and epigenetics. And I have a research group. Currently, actually, I'm on campus and my research students are in the lab working as we speak. You might hear a lot of things about the UK and about teaching in the UK and university in the UK. I thought I would take the opportunity to tell you actually what it's like. I'm going to specifically use examples from the University of Leeds and within my faculty. But you can expect most of the top universities in the UK to be similar to us. They're not very different in terms of how they're approaching teaching, how they're approaching students and work on campus, and how they're coordinating both the teaching and the research that we do. So safety to us is very important. It's always been very important, and the whole COVID pandemic has just brought it to highlight specifically what things that we need to do, what extra precautions we need to take. So our campus is currently open. There are fewer people on campus than there are normally because we have some restricted working, and those people that don't need to come on campus to work aren't coming on campus. At the moment, most of our undergraduate students have finished for the year, so all our master's students are on campus and all our PhD students are on campus. For us in biological sciences, that's important because they need access to laboratory work, teaching laboratories and research laboratories. And all of those are open, so our students need access and need to come on campus. So we have social distancing on campus. We have flexible teaching. So some of that teaching that we can deliver online, we are tending to deliver online, things like the very large lectures. And I'll talk a little bit about more of that later. Although some of our teaching is done face-to-face on campus with all the requirements of social distancing. We are obviously promoting hand washing, health. There are lots of sanitation stations around, and there's a higher regime now of cleaning that goes on throughout the campus to make sure everything around us is clean and sterile. We have a lot of COVID-19 testing that goes on campus. We've had for a long time. The NHS has a site here that it tests it, and we also, the university itself has a couple of testing sites, and there are plenty of testing kits available for people to take home to test at home too. At the moment on campus, at least indoors, face coverings and masks are required. In the UK on Monday, the formal requirement for face coverings is going to be lifted by the government. Although there are lots of industries that are saying that you still must wear coverings here, where it makes sense to. Things like our buses, our trains, a lot of places indoors are saying you should still wear masks. So we are likely to see face coverings and masks still being required. They will still be required on campus in buildings in the university, but they're not required outside. So the restrictions are going to lift over the summer in the UK. And I guess we will see how they go. What you can expect to see after Monday, because the restrictions will lift, and we can see this in other countries that have already done this, is that our number of COVID cases is going to rise. Unlikely there will be some backlash in the media about that you may read about in the UK. We expect our COVID cases to rise. At the moment, that's not followed by a rise in hospital cases. So it's mostly the younger population that are now picking up and testing positive for COVID, particularly a lot of our school children right now, and it's been a bit of an issue within schools. So we will expect it to increase, but don't be alarmed if you hear reports about increase in cases. Have a look to see what the hospitals are doing. And at the moment, that seems like we're not getting any increase in hospitals. So hopefully we're over the worst of actually the major issue with COVID in the UK. And we have university accommodation that's also run to the same high standards. plenty of extra cleaning done in and plenty of extra resources put in there to make sure that everyone can use the accommodation and can live in the accommodation safely. So that's what we're doing in Leeds. As I mentioned, I expect all the top universities in the UK to be doing things very similar to this and taking the safety of our students very highly. Leeds itself, or the Faculty of Biological Sciences, we are one of the top biological sciences in the UK. So top 20 for biological sciences and top 15 for sports science. Our schools focus on areas in biology, biomedical sciences, molecular cellular biology, and sports and exercise sciences. So those are the things that really I know the most about, because they're covered in our faculty. For students that come here, you'll receive a research-led teaching via my academic colleagues. Almost all of my academic colleagues are also researchers, scientific researchers like myself, so they spend some of their time on a research group and some of their time teaching. So you will be learnt from some of the top researchers in the country, if not the world. The university is committed to providing face-to-face teaching where it's safe to do so. At the moment, we're expecting all the students to come here in September, whether they're coming from other parts of the UK or whether they're coming from abroad. We do appreciate that if a lot of students are coming from abroad into the UK, there may be some travel issues and a few students may be delayed. And we've got some things in place to accommodate students who find maybe they're a few weeks late because of travel issues actually getting to the UK. So we've got some plans in place to accommodate that. But we do expect, and we are planning for our students to be here and that we will teach them face to face. When students do get here, we're keen then to give them a good education, a good experience. We have also keen, Neera there was talking about employability. We have a specific employability team to make sure students here can maximise the opportunities that are available and give them the kind of advice that they would need. And as Neera pointed out, it does depend very much on the individual circumstances and what kind of opportunities are available and what kind of employment opportunities exist for that. So we do have a very close and a very diverse student community. In Faculty of Biological Sciences, we have about 2,500 students, and they're from, I think, on average, about 45 different countries. It's up and down a bit every year, but we do get a lot of students from around the world that come here. So we are going to teach face-to-face where it makes sense and where we can. So practical classes will take place in our teaching laboratories, and we'll have to take those, we have to do those face-to-face because it doesn't make sense to do any of those online. You really need to get the hands-on experience in a practical class. So we prioritized our practical classes. Our teaching laboratories are currently open, and you will be doing practical classes within our teaching laboratories. And we have some really nice ones. I can show you some pictures of what they look like in a moment. Level 3 students will do research projects, and those will actually take place in our research laboratories. So they're not in our teaching laboratories, they're in our research laboratories, where you'll actually be part of a research group. And all of our research laboratories are open. And at the moment, we're just trying to increase the numbers. We're just looking at ways to increase the numbers of people that can access our research laboratories at any one time to reduce some of the restrictions that we put in place for COVID. We also expect that you would meet with personal tutors in offices. So every student that comes to Leeds will get an academic personal tutor, get an individual tutor that will just, as a person that students can go to. And you will meet with those every term, at least once every term, and they'll be available to offer any help and advice if you should need it. We expect the meetings with those personal tutors to be held face-to-face in offices. We do appreciate here that some students may not want to. They may want to choose to meet online for some reason, for some issues that they have, and we can accommodate that too. But we are looking at providing availability for face-to-face. So we're not stopping any students coming and actually meeting in person because it can make a difference. Our small group tutorials will also take place face-to-face, so we expect that to do. Some lectures will take place in lecture theatres. Some won't, some will be live streamed. We'll live stream, I think, all of our lectures for those that can't make it. And some will only be held online, specifically large lectures. In my screen here on the bottom bottom left, you can see one of our larger lecture theatres. So this can actually fit 650 students in. It would be irresponsible right now for us to bring 650 people into such a crowded area. So we're not going to do that. We will provide those lectures online. And in fact, what we found is for those very large lectures, they actually work better online with a chat function like you have for Zoom here. Students actually tend to engage more. They can put questions in that won't disturb the lecturer in the same way that people sticking hands up in the lecture do, and they're reluctant to do that. So we've actually found the large lectures holding online are actually better and actually better received by the students than they are in person. And we will continue to hold those online. And I said, we will accommodate individual needs. Some of our students might be vulnerable to COVID for particular health reasons, and we will make adjustments for those individuals so that they can remain safe if they need some accommodation for their health needs. Here are just some pictures of some of our facilities. You can see in the top left there, there's one of our smaller research labs just before we moved all of the kit in. In the bottom is one of our undergraduate teaching labs with some students in actually doing one of the practicals. And on the top right hand side is one of our other laboratories, one of our larger laboratories that again we've just refurbished. We've taken a few pictures before we move anything else. You can see what it's like when it's all nice and tidy and brand new. And we're continuing to refurbish all of our laboratories because we're such a large faculty. We've always got one of our laboratories that's being refurbished. We also have a farm, which you can see in the bottom row there in the middle picture. For anyone who would have a big research project on agriculture and food sustainability. And so we do a lot of research work out on the farm, but we also have some greenhouses on campus. And you can see that in the top row in the middle picture. We have some state-of-the-art research equipment that our students get to use. On the bottom right-hand side there, there's one of our confocal microscopes that's being used by a student, and she's looking at some cells. And on the screen there, you can see some cells have been stained with some fluorescent markers that she's just taking some pictures of and having a look at. So if you come to Leeds, you'll get access to, or you'll get experience of some really nice laboratories and some cutting-edge instrumentation that we have. So we have some new teaching and research labs. Specifically, we have a new building that's got 2 very big teaching labs in that we built just 2 years ago. We've got some state-of-the-art research facilities, and you will take part in those. You'll be able to use those when you do your research project as part of your degree. And every one of our students in level 3, as part of their degree program, does a research project. It's done with an academic, and you can go and spend time in their research laboratory and work in their research laboratory. The University of Leeds was one of the forefront universities in terms of lecture capture. So we will video and record all of our lectures, excuse me. Some of them we will live stream so that you can actually just log in like you do for this webinar and see the lecturer giving the lecture live streamed from wherever you are. Maybe it's in one of the library computers, or maybe you're at home in your lounge or dining room, and you can actually watch the lecture from there. So we invested a large amount of money in our farm for our agricultural research, and we have a large number of libraries and actually a large number of computer clusters. There are a lot of computers on there that students are able to come in, log into and use. And from that, you're able to access all of our library materials from the computer clusters. And you're able to do that as well if you're in one of our halls of residence through the network that's connected to all of our accommodation. We're keen to drive skills at the university. And so we offer a wide range of skills, and most of our teaching is driven by the skills that it gives you, as well as the content and the knowledge that you're able to derive from that material. We have a number of workshops that are aimed directly specifically at careers, and we also have a specific careers team. And the gentleman in the green top here is Tim, who's our careers officer, and he runs a lot of events specifically looking at careers and helping students for their gain employability skills and identify what kind of opportunities that they should take and what kind of skills they need for the particular kind of careers that they would like to go into. And we also hold a number of networking events. We invite a lot of alumni back who come back and give us their experiences. And that also gives us a good network of people in different sorts of industry that have been to Leeds and that we can contact and put some of our students in contact with. And then there are a number of careers fairs too. We produce very good graduates, so there are a lot of industries actually that are quite keen to come and recruit Leeds students and actually come to our careers fairs so they can actually be attractive to Leeds students, so Leeds students will apply to them because they appreciate the kind of education that we give those students. If you're interested specifically studying to Leeds, we have a link to Leeds scheme. You can find it on our website. We give students students who are currently here in different courses from different countries are able then to talk about their experiences specifically from people from their home countries. So you can see it as Sakina here. There's a picture of her. She's one of our FBS Link to Leeds ambassadors. And you can find all these details on the website if you want to contact specific students and ask them specific questions about, well, what is life like within Leeds and within the UK in a university. We have some upcoming live events too. We had one last week. We've got another one later this month and then one in the 4th of August. We're really focusing on what it's going to be like studying at Leeds and what actually the travel to Leeds is going to be like and what it means for individual students. The whole situation is a bit fluid right now as things change and we adapt to COVID. We have some specific plans and we expect those to be followed through, but we do have to be mindful that as the situations do change, we do have to make slight adjustments to those. So it can be difficult now to say with any certainty what will happen. All we can say is what our plans are and what we will do. I think one of the big questions that students ask is, well, how will my experience be affected? And there's been a lot of talk in the press about students being angry that they haven't got what they were expecting when they got to university, that we've had to close some of the things, that they haven't had access to the same numbers of lectures they had before. I think the one thing is clear that after COVID that there is going to be a new normal. Things aren't going to be exactly the same as they were before. The number of people that we have in crowded places is going to be lower. The capacities of things are going to be lower. And we are going to change things. Some of those things, though, are going to be better. A lot of students complain about that they're not getting the lectures they had before. Though a lot of students actually don't go to lectures, particularly when we've broadcast them. Actually, they prefer to watch them or they prefer to stay at home and look at the live cast. So actually losing their lectures is no big problem for a lot of our students. We still run all the practicals, we still do all the tutorials. So the important aspects of coming here face to face are actually still going to be there. They're not going to be lost. And I think the danger has been throughout this pandemic is there has been a focus on what has been lost. The things that have been taken away, they've been focused on as well, that's a bad thing because you don't get this anymore. But actually we've replaced it with things that are better in some cases. So please, if you're thinking about going to university, thinking about the next stage in your education, don't be put off by all the skepticism and all the talk about what has been lost and how bad a situation we're in right now. Actually, it is different, but actually academics have worked really hard to actually make things as good, or in some cases better than they were before. And I think it's forced us to do some different things. I think we were heading towards doing more online teaching, and I think this has forced us to do it. It's forced to do it well. So please think about that when you're reading about what university education is going to be like, either at Leeds or anywhere else in the UK. And again, I said, other universities in the UK, I'd like it to be similar to Leeds, particularly the top Russell Group universities. Okay, I hope that's given you a flavour for what it might be like and what you might expect at a university, using FBS and University of Leeds as an example. I'll be happy to answer any questions or try to answer any questions if I can. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Roots. Thanks for your taking time to share your regarding the University of Leeds. So we have few questions from the attendees. It's related to IELTS. One of the question was from Sanatan Sarma, and other question is same related to there's a lady. Yeah, just give me a second. It's just trying to find.
So about the IELTS.
Well, yeah. So basically, the question is that whether IELTS is necessary or is a TOEFL is necessary. I know it's UK's IELTS, and how do you like whether is there any exemption or all is a must, or is there any condition? So that is the question. So this IELTS English proficiency test score is mandatory for admission in UK universities, or do university waive IELTS scores in some cases? If yes, then what are the conditions of the waiver?
So most places it will be a condition or for most places like IELTS. At Leeds, in some cases we also take AES as an alternative to IELTS. It's unlikely that individuals will get a waiver for IELTS. You can do it, but if you've been living in the country itself for a while, there are some times where you can get a waiver for that, but it's unlikely that you will get a waiver, and that most students will need some English proficiency tests as a condition of getting an offer of a UK university.
Or so someone's studied everything in India, like in English, and then they're getting good marks in English, and does it help?
That's a good question. I don't know. So certainly biological sciences, we wouldn't get anyone applying to us who had been studying necessarily in English. So we would still require the IELTS.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. If individuals have studied in England in English, they might be able to get a waiver that way.
Okay, thank you. There's another question from Mr. Holloway, and that's the question is: the standard of teachings and research at UK university is considered to be the top class. How this standard is maintained? Are there routine assessment or gradation by official organization? Please, can you please tell us about it?
Sure. Yes, we have lots of external assessment to ensure our standards are maintained. So all of our degree programs have an external examiner. So that's someone who doesn't work for our university but works for a different university, and has to look at work of all of our students and all the different assessments we do and all the judgments we make about our students and their exams, and has to agree that they're appropriate standard for the university that we are. We also have a body that actually, an external body run through the government that assesses all universities as well to maintain the standard.
All right.
So we actually have a lot of work to do to show that we are maintaining the standards of quality. And again, that's true of all the UK universities.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Jens. So thank you very much for your time today. And
no problem.
Yeah, so we are going to the final guest, Dr. Karuna Kolita. So he's a professor of Indian Institute of Technology in Guwahati, and was formerly associated with the University of Nottingham as a lecturer. Hi, welcome, Dr. Karuna. So I think you need to unmute yourself. Good afternoon or good evening in India. You're on mute again.
Yeah. Well, thank you for asking me to share my experience in the UK. And well, let me first, tell you what I'm doing now. Well, I'm a professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering of Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati. And I'm a professor of dynamics. So I teach dynamics, the course related to dynamics and mechanics. And also recently I am teaching a course on electric vehicle dynamics, okay? And my research interest is coupled dynamics of electromechanical systems, vibrations, and rotordynamics. But lately, I'm working on compressed air energy storage and hydrogen storage. So the reason I'm telling probably these terms and then my journey, through my journey you will learn quite a lot of things. And if you have any doubt, please do not hesitate to ask me. So I will go through my journey, and then probably I will come back to the opportunities and also what I have been doing after coming back from the UK. So I did my Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical Engineering from Jorhat Engineering College, Assam, and that's a government engineering college, okay? And then I did my Master's MTech from IIT Guwahati, and briefly I started my PhD in IIT Guwahati. The reason, I completed the required coursework at IIT Guwahati, and then after 1 year, in fact, I was looking for opportunities abroad, and then I got admissions in the University of Concordia, Canada, and then the University of Nottingham, UK. So I had to decide then, and then, because of some reason and one or another, then I choose the UK and Nottingham. So I chose Nottingham, and then I end up working in dynamics of electrical machines. So one thing, if you are looking for PhD, you have to be sure or certain that you may not get the exact area which you are looking for. So you will have to be accommodative and also be ready to explore new areas, okay, and then carry on. But it doesn't, it doesn't disallow you to carry on with your own interest. Still, you can carry on. So I did my, I went to do my PhD in the University of Nottingham, and the funding initially I had that the university paid my fees and also my accommodation. For living, I had to do something else. But luckily, I had, my supervisor, his name is Professor Seamus de Garvey. He's a professor of dynamics, and he was very supportive. And then I did some consultancy work. By that, in fact, I helped him to do some consultancy work. So by that way, I got some money for my living. And also after, 11 months, I got a position, part-time position as a project associate. So along with my PhD, so I had to do another project, which actually was quite fruitful at the end, because that project was funded by Rolls-Royce. And I end up getting, at the end of the end of my PhD, I got not only PhDs, but 2 journal papers and also a couple of patents from that project, and which was actually supported or filed or paid for filing by Rolls-Royce. So it was quite fruitful, and this association actually, not ends there; it is still continuing. So a couple of things I want to tell here, because many of you are looking for higher studies, including PhDs. So one thing I want to tell you is, when you go for PhDs, because you don't have to do coursework, but again, that doesn't prevent you to take any course, learn new subjects, new courses. So what you have to do, I think I didn't do that. Now I, repent. I would have studied probably. I would have done a couple of courses voluntarily. So, but I did 1 or 2 courses, but I did voluntarily. I should have done a couple of courses, from my end. And so I developed this beautiful, it's quite beautiful in the sense that dynamics-wise, set up during my PhD. And then, just before I complete my PhD, I got an opportunity to work in a company called Converti. And that was recently, that company was bought by GE Energy. And I had a fantastic experience in the company. So I worked in a group where we design and develop a high temperature superconducting electrical machines. And that was actually, initially it was designed for hydroelectric power, and then the second project was for a wind turbine. So that project actually, they didn't, once the company bought by GE Energy, it didn't, they didn't carry on with the project. And but I had a fantastic experience, and then I met very good friends, and which again, is still continuing. So I worked there for another 2 years. Because at that time, after PhD, I think, that time it was allowed to stay for a year. I'm talking about, I started my PhD in 2002 and I submitted my thesis in 2006. So from 2006 to 2008, I worked in Converti. And then I decided that I should go to academia, and then, one position was coming in Nottingham as a lecturer. So I applied there and I had to teach dynamics. And then I accepted that position, and I was a lecturer in the university for 2 years. And again, I had a very good experience. I taught the advanced dynamics of machines and structural vibration, which was the mechanical engineering courses. And also I supervised 2 PhD students along with my supervisor. I was a co-guide or co-supervisor. And also I was successful to get a grant. It's a small grant, but within that time I was successful to get a grant. And I could have carried on, but then again I decided, I think it's time to come back to the UK, to India. So then I was again looking for opportunities to come back to India, and then I luckily, I got a position at IIT Guwahati. So I joined IIT Guwahati in 2010 as an assistant professor, and then I promoted to associate professor, and then in 2019 I promoted to professor. So the reason I am telling you all my journey is that, in every step, probably in the initial stage, you will see yourself in that situation, which where I was. And the beauty of doing probably, the higher studies in the UK, I have no complaint. It is I had a fantastic education that one student asked for, and also the career one asked for, because I work in a best British company, and then I had the opportunity to teach in Nottingham as a lecturer. And my current journey, I still have the collaboration with the University of Nottingham. We have actually submitted quite a big proposal to install electric vehicle charging station based on compressed air energy storage. And we submitted a big application and last year, but that was unsuccessful. And we are again applying this year. And we have been again preparing another proposal on hydrogen storage, which we'll be submitting very soon with my UK collaborators, or my supervisor and with his team. And also at the same time, I just want to mention that from 2018 to 2019, I visited University of Nottingham, and I was a senior research fellow. So these are the opportunities. And also, I have got the collaboration with Aalto University in Finland, which actually came because of my connection with the University of Nottingham. So there are plenty of opportunities if you are looking for higher education in the UK. I think I would definitely say you should go for PhD, masters. Okay, masters there is 1 year, but it's a very well-designed course. I was in the few meetings when I was a lecturer. It's a well-designed course. I think that gives you that will give you all the basic structure or the base to start PhD or to go for a job. So I think I will stop here, and then if you have got any questions, I will take questions from you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Karuna. So it was nice to sharing all your knowledge and your journey actually from Guwahati Engineering College to Nottingham to IIT Guwahati. I have a few questions. Questions are from Ankita Mozumdar. There is another question from Sanat. Just not some names. Just have to check. So I have another question. Whereas I'm just looking at the screen, So yeah. So Ankita,
I can read Ankita Mozumdar's question.
Yeah.
Well, you ask, is PhD course funded? What are the conditions of getting admission in PhD in civil engineering? Yeah, I think most of the PhD courses are funded. You should look for the opportunities at jobs.ac.uk, and then you should look for studentship and also for PhD studentship. Yeah, or you can go to individual the website of individual universities, and there in the career option you will get if they have got any openings for PhDs. And most of the PhDs are funded, but some of the PhDs or majority of the PhDs are for, especially in our times, it was for home student. But nevertheless, there are quite many scholarships, so our funding opportunities. I think my advice is you should accept PhD. Even if you are partly funded. Partly funded means, suppose you're like me, fees are very expensive, especially for me. I could not even imagine to pay. But then if the fees are paid and also some part, or even it is not paid, I think you should consider. There are many other ways to support your accommodation and living. And what are the conditions of getting admission in PhDs? So first of all, I told you, you have to write one, what you are going to do. So along with your CV, you should also say what is statement of purpose. So what you are going to do. So that should be very precise and without the error. There should not be error. There should not be any grammatical error, and it should be precise what you are going to do. But when you prepare your statement of purpose or the research proposal, you should look for your potential supervisor and see whether you can actually match your aspiration to one of the professors, so the topic they are offering. So it should be, because you may not get exactly what you are looking for, but maybe you can adjust a bit. Like myself, I learned quite a bit of new things, dynamics of electrical machines, but that actually opened a new area or new for me, new career. Yeah, I think next one is the Vishal Patwari. Is that?
Yeah, there's a question from Vishal Paturi, but there is another question to our WhatsApp, iVarsity WhatsApp group. So questions came that is that good to start the masters in UK then do the PhD, or directly applying PhD is better, because sometimes it helps doing the masters. And can you tell us something like?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you are going to do. My advice is, if you are not sure that you are going to do PhD, so you first start MSc, because once you complete your PhD, MSc, then you can switch to job or to PhDs.
Yeah. So yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Go on.
Yeah, so because the another question was coming, a same question in a WhatsApp group. So the question that if you are doing, if you have done a MSc in India, and then you are doing also a question from Vishal, but if you want to do PhD, and that is more helpful than if, or otherwise you choose to do a MSc over here, then you are into the education systems, and then you apply for PhD. You are, you know, I know you did a different way. You did a master's, I think, in India and came back over here to PhD. But I have seen people also, and the question also asked that some people do masters over here, and you have seen people and do the PhD over here in UK. So that's more helpful, or directly coming for PhDs are more easier or helpful?
Well, actually, you cannot compare these two. One cannot be super, like you have to be like, depends on your situation. If you can afford a MSc in the UK, and then if you want to do PhD is good, then you have the option, because you know already what the university can offer. Then you can choose some other university, But if you go directly from India, and then you don't have that option, because you have already accepted one offer.
All right. There's another question. So when is partially funded? This is for a question from Jatin Bora. Partially funded, and then is there, if he is doing a PhD and is partially funded, is it possible to get some kind of a help with a lecturer or his tutor to get another funding during the PhD, or any what they call loan, bank loan or something, partial help?
Yeah, well, loan definitely you can get from Indian bank. That is not a problem. But so suppose if you are with partial funding, say your fees is paid. Fees is the main part here. And then other part. So initially you can, I don't know, I didn't work, but you can work in the say we are allowed as a student, we were allowed to work 20 hours per week. So that you can work, but if you are PhD, you are also getting teaching assistance. So that will also help. Yeah, definitely.
All right. So it's quite doable then, you don't have to
doable. It is doable. You will have to take a risk, and then but you will have to be confident that you can do something, and also impress your supervisor that he actually supports you.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Karuna. So it was awesome. So listening your experience and your suggestion. And I would like to thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Nira Kakuti and Dr. Ian Woods and Dr. Kor Kalita for giving us your valuable time, enlightened us with your knowledge, and it was informative and gave deep insight into the topics. I'm sure it's precious advice that will all share with help the students attendees in the higher education in UK. Once again, I would like to thank you, our guests, for taking our time for your busy schedule, and all the attendees being a part of the webinar. Hope all you had a great time. And I don't know, with our panels, the guest speaker want to say something about anything you want to advise any attendees, any students who are dreaming or looking forward to do some higher studies in UK?
I would say go for it. Follow your dreams if you really want to do it.
Well, all I was going to say was that be proactive and apply. Read up, browse their websites, read up what you like, see what you like, and then write to people.
Yeah,
it won't come to you. You have to go to them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe I will just say that I think the UK has the best education to offer, and then for PhDs, the aerospace industries is thriving. You know, there are quite a lot of funding, especially in Nottingham. There are quite a lot of funding for aerospace research, aero engine, and then also the hydrogen energy storage. There are lots of opportunities for research in the UK. So I think you should go for it.
Yes, same well as also renewable and bioscience, I think. So
yeah, definitely. 3D printing.
Yeah. And we are here, so iVarsity in Guwahati, and you know, we are available. We are going to open most probably in Bangalore also. So so we are there to help everyone. So that's why it was established. And thank you very much. Thanks for your time, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Okay, goodbye.
Yeah, thank you very much.